And then one day they called me. They said, Danielle, we're on the way to the airport. And about 6 weeks before closing, we're on the way to the airport. We're going to Congo on vacation. Okay, no problem. So in my head, I thought it was a regular vacation time. Yeah. Meaning like the American way, not the French way, right? They decide to go on vacation the American way, which is 1 week, 2 weeks. I thought it was 1 week, 2 weeks. But no, they went on vacation the French way, which is taking a whole month off, right? Yeah. And then, but the problem is when they took the whole month off, it was vacation with no pay.
Income stop,
And then so what happened when the builder lender decided to reopen the case about 6 weeks before closing, and then he asked for verification of income, the employer could not verify because the husband, unfortunately, took a non-paid vacation. Mm-hmm. And then the loan got denied.
Then what happened, Danielle?
What happened is, y'all think Realtor a miracle worker.
Yeah. Hello, guys.
Hey.
Thank you for tuning in for another episode of Keeping It Real Now with your co-host here, Boo Jabby with AMP Lending. And I'm over here with my sidekick,
Danielle Bilumbu. Hi, guys. I'm excited.
And how y'all doing today?
I am great. How are you doing, Alex?
Okay.
Just okay?
Yeah, just okay.
You should be amazing because you're awake
amazing.
Today.
He's amazing.
He's amazing. Y'all don't know.
He got his birthday.
Cut. His birthday is April 11th, so I want to make sure everybody send a note, a message, or something because he is turning 21.
Turning 21. He's taking applications out there.
Yes,
he's taking applications.
He's single. He's single. You said y'all see him before. Look at all my other video you've seen. He's single.
Yeah.
He's not ready to get married yet, right? Not yet. We're not gonna get married yet, but he take application.
We're definitely taking application.
Mm-hmm. If you're young and ambitious and a hardworking woman and then you like to travel.
Look at her.
Yeah,
Danielle plotting the way for you, boy.
I'm a matchmaker. I have like 3 friends.
That you matched up.
Yep, they're married.
Okay.
Well, 1 is divorced, 2 are still together.
You hear that, Alex?
Look at me.
You're in good company.
Mm-hmm. And I'll make sure whoever married the boy will pay diary for me, okay?
Yeah.
I'm going to collect that, okay?
Nah, that's
I'm
cool.
kidding.
That's cool.
I'm kidding. But remember, his birthday is April 11th. He'll be 21. Make sure to send him some love. But anyway, so today we're going to talk about how, when you're under contract with a buyer or seller, how could you get out of the contract? That's a big subject because I had, I went to talk about it because the last 6 months, I had a few transactions. Then one was the buyer, one was the seller, and they said, Danielle, I don't want the house no more. I want to get out of the contract. There's get out of the contract where the normal way, but this is when you're very, very further away in the transaction. You're about to close the week before to close, the day before closing, things like that. And then the person was like, hey, I don't want to sell or I don't want to buy anymore. I want to get out of the contract. Yeah. So that's what we're going to talk about today. And then there is different things. So when you enter in the contract, let's talk on the buyer side, the buyer side first. So when you enter in the contract, and the way, once again, we are not lawyers. We're not giving you legal advice. This is just our personal opinion based on our experience and what we've seen and the knowledge that we have about contract and the transaction in real estate. So when you're a buyer and you decide to submit an offer, as long as the offer is not signed by the other party, you should retract any day, any time, any minute, right? The seller didn't sign. You do not have what we call an executive contract. You can walk away and change your mind, as long as the other party didn't sign and the signature has not been communicated to the other side and sent, you should be able to walk away. So when oftentimes we see buyers see a house they like and they want to submit an offer, submitting an offer doesn't necessarily mean you enter in the contract. Exactly. Just want to make sure this is clear for everybody.
Correct.
And then because the lender will not use the contract that you only sign, they will use the contract the seller signed with an execution date. The title company will work with the contract that is signed with an execution date from the other party. And that's where the clock starts and everything starts.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And then always make sure to send that copy to your lender.
Yes, please.
Yeah, so the lender know how to work, because when you submit an offer, the offer is accepted and is executive, so signed by all the party and communicate, then with an execution date, the clock start.
Yeah, your
So-
option period starts. Typically, you'll have 10 to 15 days for that option period. So you want to make sure that you're getting everything rolling, getting the ball rolling to be able to,
Yeah,
get
so
past that time.
every date and every little thing in the contract is based on the execution date. So if you enter in the contract on the 1st and then you put 7 days option period,
Yeah,
you have 7 days to get out of the contract.
correct.
And you can get out of the contract for any reason without explanation. You just tell your realtor to send a termination to the seller, and let them know you terminate because of your right of the option period in a contract. And then they usually, typically, when you submit an offer like that, you have an option fee and an earnest money. They will come with it. The seller will keep the option fee. Oftentimes, in practice, it can be somewhere between $100 to $1,000, depending what you put in the contract. It's negotiable between buyer and seller. They're going to keep that option fee, and your earnest money, which is typically 1%, but it can be more or less, we will return to you. Okay, so these two things are just approved from the buyer to show the seller you're serious and you want to purchase this home. And then, so that's one of the reasons why you can get out of contract, the option period. And then during the option period, that's the time for you to do your home inspection.
Yeah, that's the main point.
So you find out all the condition of the house with the inspector, and the inspector job is to point any defect on the property, and then you can turn around and bring the inspection report to the seller, and then ask them to repair or maybe to give you some credit, or you can use that to just walk away from that deal.
Correct.
Okay, and then when you have an option period, also realize during the inspection time, if you submit an offer for older home, you will have a lot of default.
It's going to be something that comes back.
Yeah, the house will not be perfect because it's an older home. When you have an inspection done on a new construction, you will also expect things to not necessarily be perfect. Why?
Correct.
Anything that is man-made will not be perfect.
Yeah, there's
You
going to
know-
be some things that come up.
Yeah, the only perfection in life is God.
Yeah.
But anyway, so with that said, another reason why you can back out is the appraisal.
Yeah, so typically, for us lenders, we have to have appraisals that are done because we have to know that the value that the seller's selling the property at, that the house is actually worth that amount. So for us, the appraisers are our eyes. Us as a lender, we're not going to the property to see what's going on with it. We send an approved appraiser out there to appraise the property, and if that property comes back in at a lower amount than what the seller's stating, or it could come back in as is, but subject to whatever repairs need to be done to the property as well that the appraiser states. So in those type of situations, if a seller doesn't come to an agreement with the buyer's agent, then they can back out from the contract.
As long as within the time that we put in the contract. So
Exactly.
if you put in you have an extra form when you submit your offer to the seller, which is a third party financing addendum. You can also add the appraisal addendum in a contract, saying that if the house does not meet, so let's say you negotiate the price, let's say it's a $400,000 home, and then it was listed at $400,000, and then you as buyers and seller agree to $395, and unfortunately the appraisal comes out at $390, so we $5,000 off. So what could happen is either the seller can reduce his price to $390 to meet the appraisal number, or the buyer will come up with $5,000 extra out of pocket, but the lender needs to approve that, because if you do not have the cash for it,
It can't happen.
it can't happen. Or they can meet somewhere in the middle. Or buyer can be like, this is not gonna work, but I have my appraisal contingency that I put 10 days, 5 days, 20 days, 30 days, whatever you put in your contract, because you are within that time frame, then you can send the termination to the seller and let them know, hey, due to the appraisal, I'm out. And the lender will provide you the letter.
Correct.
And then remember the appraisal can be waived on
Conventional.
FHA.
Conventional.
Cannot. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's okay. That's why I'm here.
cannot be waived on
Yeah.
on FHA, but it
Yeah.
can be waived on conventional.
Yeah.
And it's written on top of the form where you will see that the appraisal contingency cannot be waived on a FHA. It's only for conventional.
Yeah, because with FHA is a governmental loan, so it's guaranteed by the government. So in that instance, there's no way that you can falter that appraisal. You have to have that in order for, an FHA loan to be able to be seen to that value is what the seller's selling it at.
Okay. And then for what else? Is required for every single loan to have an appraisal done, or there's some instance the buyer do not need an appraisal?
Sometimes you have an appraisal waiver where let's say it's a new construction, right? You have some lenders out there that would state that they don't need an appraisal on a property because it's new, it's a new community, it's setting the market. They don't need to have one. Mm-hmm. It's rare, right? But yeah, it can happen.
And what about, for example, if the buyer put a lot of money down?
Sometimes that can help as well. You put in over 20% down on the property, that they can go ahead and do an appraisal waiver as well. But again, those are limited options.
Okay, so I put 30% down. Maybe the appraisal can be waived.
It can happen.
Okay.
Or you have some areas where we have this thing called DU, which is desktop underwriting that we run. Mm-hmm. And it goes with Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. And sometimes, depending upon where the property is, and we see it more with refinances, right? If we're refinancing a property and properties in a location where they already have a market analysis of what those properties are appraised for,
okay,
then we can just use that as value instead of going out and ordering an appraisal.
Okay. Why the lender are so strict with the underwriter are very, very, very strict? Is it because you guys are doing something with the loan after we close?
They're selling the loan, but the thing about it is with the underwriter, we got to understand that an underwriter, when they're doing their job, if that loan comes back and is foreclosed on or something happened, it follows that underwriter.
Okay.
Right? So the underwriter is set under so much stress with the lender to be able to make sure that this loan is good enough to be able to have a loan on it to where it's not foreclosed on or they don't have to buy the loan back.
Okay, and the underwriter, they're usually in-house or a third-party company?
Sometimes a third party, but they're working on behalf of the actual lender to make sure that this borrower is qualified for this property.
Okay. Another reason why you can use the appraisal to back out from the deal, as long as within the time frame that is noted in the contract.
Exactly.
And then also you can have the HOA can be a reason why you back out. Sometimes there is a lien on it, like the HOA place a lien on the property, and then because of the lien, the title cannot be clear. That could be a reason why buyer can use that against the seller and say, you know what, I'm out because you owe money with the HOA and the HOA is dealing with lawyers and stuff like that. The fee is too high sometimes in order for you to purchase the home or the seller, to get out and move forward, they will require from that lien to be paid off. And then if the buyer realizes at the last minute that the lien is like $25,000 worth of HOA, and sometimes that $25,000 is not the full amount that the seller really owe. Maybe the seller was 2 years behind because there is fee, lawyer fee, court fees, and all that added on top of that. Because if you don't pay, the HOA is going to hire a lawyer and sue the seller, and then all these fees are going to be put on top of it, and it's going to be a lien again. So when the title company open title, and if you look at the different part on your title commitment, you will see what needs to be clear. So when you enter the contract, maybe a few days after you're under contract, the title company will send you a title commitment, and it will let you know what some of the stuff that need to be clear in order for the title to be clear and have the insurance that will cover you, and then you can move forward and then buy the house. And then the lender require that title commitment. They want to make sure that there is no lien they're gonna come up after, because they want that to be insured, and they want to, make sure you're buying a home that is clear. So the HOA, sometimes they have lien, and if it's $25,000, you as a buyer, you're like, I'm not paying for that.
I'm not paying that.
I'm out.
Yeah.
So, or it can be taken out of the proceed of the sale.
Of the sale towards the transaction.
Yeah, because, and then sometime be careful with those HOA, because the HOA maybe can be the reason why the deal fall apart.
It can, because it keeps mounting. That amount keeps mounting, and it builds interest, daily interest.
Yeah, they charge you all these interest. So please, seller, pay your HOA dues. If it's monthly, yearly, quarterly, whatever it is, just make sure you're on top of it. Check on them. Even if you know you pay and you think that you're off the hook, double check with them, to the HOA and their lawyer to provide you the release of the lien. Because that happened to me. The HOA didn't do their part properly. They changed lawyer, and the lawyer, we don't know. They're no longer working on the file. They could not provide us the release of the lien. And it was back and forth so much until the day of closing. And we had to push closing because of that. And it was very, very stressful for the seller. And there was something that was done back 5 years ago.
Yeah.
You know? And then the HOA can also be another reason where it comes down. Let's say you talk to your realtor. So that's why, buyer, you really have to be very, 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 very clear with your realtor as for what do you want the property for, what will be the use. If you're trying to buy the property, and let's say you want to have a home hair care inside the property. Or you're trying to have a daycare inside the property. Or you're trying to have a Airbnb inside the property, right? All of these things I consider a business. You have to double check with the HOA if you have the right to run a business inside the property. Not all HOA allowed it. Most HOA will not allow you to run a business out of your home because they want you to use it as a residential, not as a business. So if you're a housewife and you have your baby and you want to have a daycare in there and then have maybe 5 or 6 kids to take care of, it could be an issue if the HOA find out about it. If one of the neighbors sell you out because nosy neighbor.
Which they will.
And they will. Or you decide to build something in your backyard, like a second office or something, and then you do hair, you're a hairstylist, and you build something nice and cute, a studio in your backyard, and the neighbors are, oh, they're building something, and they call the HOA and let them know. The HOA find out first you didn't request a permit, and they can sell you with the city.
Yeah.
If you don't have the proper permit to build a structure in your backyard, or they will let the HOA know that that's what you're doing is for business purposes, the HOA will come after you.
Yes.
And they can sue you and give you all kind of problem depending what's the strength of the HOA in your community for you to stop the business. So make sure you have that in your contract, the reason why you're buying the property also. So there is a line inside the contract. Make sure to ask your realtor where to put that you're going to be doing. You're buying the property, but under the condition that you're allowed to have a daycare, or you're allowed to do or Airbnb, you're allowed to do whatever other business to come to your mind, right? Especially Airbnb also.
Yeah.
And they will fight you on that. They're going to send you a letter, a cease and desist.
Yeah.
Stop any kind of activity, no Airbnb, because oftentimes the HOA, they don't like short-term rental under 6 months. You know? So they will tell you no short-term rental is in there. So you bought a property with the option of Airbnb, and then you cannot do the Airbnb. So if you know that's what you put in the contract, I'm buying the property under this condition is acceptable, and it's not happening, and you receive the document within the time frame in the contract.
Yeah.
Let me repeat that. Within the time frame in the contract. Anyway.
I didn't know you had a voice thing, yo.
No, I don't have a voice. So if you have within that time, guys, please make sure you can send a termination and use the HOA as a reason why you're backing out. So once again, HOA, any type of lien that is not clear and there's extra fees that have to come on you, or the use of the property, maybe Airbnb, maybe daycare, hair care, whatever business you're trying to do there, home hair care, you know. So you have to make sure that it's in there, and tell your realtor, because all of that needs to be put in a contract so the seller is aware of it before. Correct. Yeah. So, or anything that you see in a HOA that you do not like. Even if everything is fine, but you see something in the HOA you don't like, sometimes they give you 2-3 days to respond, depending what you put in your contract. You can use that and back out.
And back out with that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. The loan can be the reason why
Yeah, so you have third party financing. I mean, I have a situation right now where I'm dealing with a client that we were trying to pre-qualify. We were able to pre-qualify her based off of paycheck stubs, right? When it was time to go and do the verification of employment with the employer, the company that she's currently working for was bought out by
Another company.
by the company she's working for now. So whenever you have part-time income, you have to average that part-time income for at least 2 years. Well, typically you would think that you can get that information just by ordering the verification of employment when it's time. In this situation I haven't seen before, the company wasn't able to provide any of the data for the employment because they wiped out their system, so they said. So we had to deny the loan based off of that.
Wow. Even bank statement can show it?
Bank statements, we don't need actual income for that.
No, I mean, bank statement showing that the money they were coming in to show you that,
Well, that's net. That's
okay.
going to be net. That's after all the deductions. When we're qualifying to get income, everything is gross. And then you want to get that information from the actual employer so it can hold weight.
Got you.
You know what I mean? Now, if you're doing a bank statement program and you're trying to calculate monthly income by that, you can do it that way with the bank statement. But in her case, she was going the traditional route. She didn't have 20-25% to put down. FHA, and yeah, it was very disheartening.
Let's dig deep into that subject with with verification of income and stuff like that. I feel like a lot of people at the last minute get denied because of it. One time we did have a client that decided to go on vacation in Congo.
Oh wow, yes.
That was 2 years ago.
Yes.
And I wasn't aware of it. They just told me they're going on vacation. I thought maybe a week or two. No, they went for a month, a whole month. And they bought a new construction. They qualified with the builder new construction back in January. The house needed to be built. It will take like 6-7 months. And they went on vacation in Congo in June. And then the last minute, because builder will pre-qualify you so you can enter in the contract with the builder, right? Their lender will pre-qualify you and say, okay, you qualify for this amount, blah, 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 for this house. And you enter in the contract. Then you pick and choose all your finishes in the house, and the builder will say, okay, now you added $30,000 worth of upgrade or $50,000 worth of upgrade, and we need you to give us 50% of this amount on top of your deposit that you already give the builder when you enter in the contract, which is out of $50,000, $25,000 out of pocket up front. So now the buyer did all of that. They're waiting for their home every week. They take a nice picture. Sometime I drive by and say, oh, the house is moving forward. I can't wait, right? Yeah. All the excitement they come about it with it. And then one day they call me. They say, Danielle, we're on the way to the airport. And about 6 weeks before closing, we're on the way to the airport. We're going to Congo on vacation. Okay, no problem. So in my head, I thought it was a regular vacation time. Meaning like the American way, not the French way, right? They decide to go on vacation the American way, which is 1 week, 2 weeks. I thought it was 1 week, 2 weeks. But no, they went on vacation the French way, which is taking a whole month off, right? And then, but the problem is when they took the whole month off, it was vacation with no pay.
Income stop,
And then so what happened when the builder lender decided to reopen the case about 6 weeks before closing, and they asked for verification of income, the employer could not verify because the husband, unfortunately, took a non-pay vacation. And then the loan got denied.
And then what happened, Danielle?
What happened is, y'all think Realtor a miracle worker.
Yeah.
What happened is, my client called me from Congo in the middle of the night, panicking because she just received a letter from the lender telling her she can't qualify. I'm like, what? And come to find out is because, and then that's where I find out all of this in detail. So I'm like, these people need to qualify. I'm not going out there in the street to find them another home because it was during the season where everything was flying out the shell. It was so hard to put a buyer in a home, right? And I was like, oh God, what I'm going to do? So I pick up the phone and I call Abu. I said, you need to save me.
And the client was very, very aggressive as well. So she made me. I had to go above and beyond to try to get some extra income and some clarification on what was going on. And we were able to make it work.
Yeah, we did make it work at the last minute, because then I turned around and that was a big builder, one of those national builders. They have so many people. At that time, they had people on the waiting list. They didn't know time. The house was ready to go. And the price that we were buying the house was like $50,000 below the price that the same house we have sold during that time, knowing that they have waiting list, right? So they have no reason to accept and listen to me. But I convinced Abu over here to give me what I needed to bring, because the builder was like, well, you know what, we can, they got denied with the lender. I said, I have another lender. I didn't know if Abu will qualify them or not, but I was just trying to win time. I said, I have another lender who says can approve them, so we good to go. If you have that pre-approval, would you please keep my buyer and then not kick them out?
What happened.
And the salesperson was like, Danielle, you put him in a bad position. I was able, we have been here. And I become buddy with the salesperson during all that 6 months, right? Because I was just, build relationship. That's why relationship is very important in this business.
Yes.
And then she finally said, okay, she was on board to help me out. She talked to her management, and they give us, we told them to give us 60 days. That's what, I wasn't sure if 60 days will be enough or not. I just told them, please give me 60 days and we're going to get it done. But I didn't know if we're going to get it done.
Yeah.
I just needed time, because I figure in my head, if they're coming back from Africa and you work a whole 30 days, then it's going to be a whole paycheck plus extra hour, and we can catch up what we were missing. So this is just what I was thinking at that time, but I wasn't sure if Abu will do it or not. In the meantime, when I called Abu, and then I called the salesperson, and then the salesperson, okay, I'm going to try to see if I can work it out for you. And I came back to Abu. Abu was like, I don't know if I can do it. I'm not a miracle worker. I was like, we believe in God, so please, please try to work it out for me.
Nope.
And then he said, I'm gonna need time, man. I'm gonna need time, man. What are you doing to me, Danielle? Come on, man. And I'm like, could you please just try? But we have 60 days. And he said, we have 60 days. I said, yes, we do have 60 days. But everything was on the maybe, right?
Yeah.
But I was believing it so much. Then he started working on it. So my client came back, and I remember I told my client on the phone, and I was like, you guys are a believer. So what I need you, I say that to my client a lot.
Yeah.
You need to get on your knees right now, lift up your arm and pray God, because this is out of my hand.
Yeah.
This is not my work.
Yeah.
I'm just the person in the middle, but you need to ask him to help you, because I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, I'm going to do my best.
Yeah.
And then Abu was able to get the deal done.
Yes.
We got the extra 60 days.
Yeah.
You work on amendment with the IRS stuff.
Yeah. It was a lot.
It was a lot of stuff that needs to be done to make sure they can qualify for this house at the last minute. And then I remember my client told me, this is my house.
Yeah. She said
this is my house, and I'm going to bind the hand. I just like how African mama pray. I'm going to bind the hand and the feet, whoever was trying to walk into this house. Nobody's going to get this house. This is my house. God said it's my house. It's going to be my house. I say, well, I admire and I love your face, sister. Keep going.
She had a soul to her.
Yeah, she did. She
believed, and she was a forward. She wouldn't take no for an answer.
Nope. And then everything worked out.
Yeah, it did.
Everything worked out. So I just that's the reason why I love this business, because things just come up at the last minute.
Yeah.
And we just like to fix it. But yeah, you did real good in that one.
Yeah, a lot of them. All of them. Nah.
Yes, cool. It was something. So they were not denied, but also we had sometime it can be because of income. Without other reason why the loan can be denied outside of the appraisal and the income.
I mean, you have title. You have title issues. You can have title issues. You can have survey issues. I mean, it's just different things. Let me think.
Sometimes it's asset. The last minute, you don't have the money that you show the seller, the lender, and say, hey, I have 40,000 to put down in the house.
I mean, a lot of things can come up.
And then the money doesn't appear.
Case by case, you can have a gift that you thought that was from a proper gifter, right?
Elaborate on that.
It comes from somebody else. So typically, when you're having a gift, gifts are supposed to come from relatives. Uncles, aunts, brothers, sister, mom, dad.
Kids.
Children, and that's it. right? No cousins, nothing like that. Actual with a gift. So the gift has to come from an appropriate person. It can't be your boyfriend or your girlfriend or things like that.
Even if the boyfriend and girlfriend will be living with you, they're not on the contract, but they'll be living with you.
Gifts are from relatives.
Okay, I got you. Relative.
Grandparents.
Okay.
Grandparents can give gifts as well.
So your sidekick, your boyfriend. It's a no.
It won't happen. So it can come up. It could, when you start sourcing those gift funds to see where the gift is coming from.
What do you mean by sourcing it? So you're gonna require the gifter to provide their paperwork?
Correct. So,
and you ask the relationship on the paperwork?
Correct. So typically what happens when you're getting a gift, you're going to tell the amount of the gift that the borrower needs, right? And then from the gifter, they're going to do a gift letter. So on that gift letter, they're going to state their name, their relationship with the borrower.
Okay.
Right? So all that's going to be there. And then you're going to need 30-day bank statements from the gifter.
To source.
Showing the money coming out. Because any money that's used in a real estate transaction has to be sourced.
Okay.
Right? So they're going to source it coming from the gifter, going to the borrower.
Okay. So if this money was in your bank account, let's say your boyfriend gave you the money, but it's been 62 days, 90 days in your account.
You're good.
You're good because...
Who didn't say that?
Because the lender only needs 60 days proof,
60-day
right?
bank statements.
Yeah.
That's the farthest we go back. Because typically what they think of is when the borrower is ready to purchase a home, the funds and the money that they're using for that transaction, they're getting it together within a 60-day period.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you have a boyfriend, if you're sugar daddy somewhere and you have a girl that you like to help, just if you want her to buy her house, give her the money today and wait 60 day plus one.
Yeah.
And then she can use that money.
Yeah. 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 You didn't hear from me.
So outside of, so sometimes it can be the money it doesn't come through properly, and then could you be denied because if you have income coming from another state and another country, for example, could the buyer be denied for that?
Well, money coming from another state, if it's not tax deductible money from the U.S., we can't use it.
Got you.
Right? So Uncle Sam wants his money. So when you're purchasing a property here in the United States, it's tax deductible money.
Okay, so yeah, you're here. So so when the lender send you that denial letter, and it's done within that time frame that you put in a contract, then you provide that to the seller and let them know, hey, unfortunately, I can't qualify. Correct. So based on the contingencies you put in a contract, you should be able to have your option, your earnest money back, not your option fee oftentimes because you passed the option period. And then sometime you can use the seller's disclosure to back out. If you put in a contract that the seller didn't provide you the seller disclosure within a time frame and you have it after and you realize that there is a material fact in the contract in that seller's disclosure you don't like, and you probably would never had offer anything if you had known, for example, the defect on the property, let's say foundation, for example, then at that point you can use that also
and back out
of the deal. And then sometimes it can be due because of the short sale. It's a short sale deal, for example. So a short sale is when you're purchasing a property below the value that is supposed to, and then the lender needs to authorize and approve the short sale to the seller that, okay, let's say the house worth $400,000, then you decide to sell it below that $400,000 value, and you get it at $350,000, for example, you put on the market, but you loan, let's say, for example, is $300,000 or maybe $350,000. The lender need to approve that. And then when you, as a buyer, when you submit your offer and you know it's a short sale, you need to add the short sale addendum. And then that's another contingency you can add. There's plenty of contingency addendum you add in the contract to make sure you talk about it with your realtor. And then if within that specific time that you put that you allow the seller to get the short sale approved, if it doesn't happen, you can use that and walk away from the deal. So there is plenty of things in a contract, and there is more reason you can back out than as long you put that in a contract and everybody is aware about what's going on.
As long as it's disclosed.
As long as disclosed, you should be fine on the buyer side. But where you cannot back out, for example, as a buyer, if at the last minute you wake up and say you don't want the house, like buyer's remorse, doesn't happen. Okay? Everything,
move forward.
yeah, everything has been met. The lender did their job.
Yeah.
The seller did his part, repair, whatever, give you credit, whatever. Both realtor did what it's supposed to do. And then you have everything lined up for you to purchase the home, but you decide to not buy it because maybe you don't like the seller or you don't like the house no more, or you decide to get a divorce at the last minute.
Yeah.
And you're like, I can't move forward with this home with you because I decide to divorce you. Yeah. But guess what? It's too late for you to back out. Both of you need to sign that contract, the purchase. But you can, nobody's forcing you. You can still back out and not sign, but there's consequences. Mm-hmm. Okay? The consequences will be, the seller will be like, hey, hold on. I did my part. You have a lender who say you're well capable and able to purchase this home. Mm-hmm. So now you come at the last minute. You don't want to buy the house. You're in default. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take you to court if the seller wants to do that. And then he can sue you. And most likely they have a case. Yeah. They have a case. Yeah. Yeah. So when you come at the last minute, you say, I don't want to buy the house. Just really think through it, you know?
Oh, for sure.
Think through it. What will be the worst? Buy the house and still have my name attached to that person after the purchase, and then get divorced, and then maybe resell the property or ask the other person to buy you out.
Or when you go through a divorce, the court will decide, you know, who gets the house, who's entitled to this. You sit down, y'all have a mediation, have things where y'all can sit down and say, you know what, I want to give the house to my kids. Y'all can have the house. So there's ways to work it out.
Yeah, there's ways to work it out. But just know, oftentimes at the last minute, you're taking the risk of a lawsuit at the last minute. This is for the buyers. As for the seller, mm-hmm. Sellers, attention. If you decide to put your home on the market, as long you do not have a contract signed, you can decide to keep your home anytime. Mm-hmm. If you have a contract signed with a buyer, and the buyer meet all the requirement that is needed in a contract, and then you say, you know what, I don't want to sell my house no more, I want to keep it. Remember, your realtor is not a miracle worker. Yeah. Okay? We're not Jesus on earth. We can only help you. So really think through it, because the buyer can sue you. Mm-hmm. There's not much in a contract that allow the seller to really truly back out. Yeah. Maybe there is some aspect in a contract, maybe as a seller, you can be stubborn about it. Let's say the buyer wants repair. You're like, no. Yeah. Afterward, the buyer's like, oh, it's not reasonable, so I'm going to just back out. Yeah. You know, give them that option like that. But there's not much in a contract that really allowed the seller to walk away, unless you put it specifically in a contract. Yeah. So there's not much in a contract for the seller.
Yeah.
Really think through it when you decide to put your home on the market. Yeah. If you really want to sell it, you know. But that happens. Some people, they maybe decide to sell it because they have a job, and the job say, we're going to relocate you to another state, and then you enter in the contract, and all of a sudden,
it happens.
They're like, it don't happen anymore. So maybe you can offer something to the buyer and say, hey, I'm not moving anymore. I don't need to go anywhere. I know you spend money on the appraisal and the home inspection and all that. Offer something in return, but most likely, if you're very further along in the transaction, it will be very difficult to back out.
You got to keep going forward.
Yeah. Did that happen to you?
Yeah, it's happened. It's happened.
What happened? I want to know.
I've seen it all.
I want to know what happened.
Well, with the seller wanting to back out? Mm-hmm. No, so this one situation, there was a seller that was selling the property, and they came back and they stated that they didn't want to sell it anymore.
Why?
The husband and wife decided that they wanted to keep it.
Why? They just decided to want to keep it?
They just decided that they wanted to keep the property.
So what happened to your buyer?
They didn't buy it. They walked away.
Well, that's good. They're nice. They didn't make a fuss about it?
They didn't make a big fuss.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. They didn't make a big fuss. I've seen everything, man.
One time I had a seller who at the last minute say, I'm not selling the house no more. And he said, Danielle, I don't want to sell it no more. The reason why I wanted to sell it because I needed some cash. And unfortunately, the cash that I need, I was able to find it somewhere else, so I don't need to sell my property anymore. But the problem is we were so far away from the transaction about to close. Mm-hmm. And then the buyer was serious about it. The buyer was sending some long email. Mm-hmm. Make sure to tell the seller, my lender was able, just give me the clear to close 7 days before the timeline in the contract.
Yeah.
So I am ready to go. Just tell him to stop playing. This is not a joke.
Yeah.
The buyer was serious in his
Yeah.
email. His email was
Yeah.
very clear
Yeah.
and direct.
Yeah.
I will not move forward. I will not let this go of this property. And if the seller wants to play with me, we can talk about it in the courthouse. The buyer was serious.
Yeah.
And the email was coming every 2 days.
Oh wow.
Every 2 days.
Yeah.
Every 2 days. All I can tell my seller is just consult with a realtor, because at this point, this is another realtor. It was a lawyer, because at this point, this is above my
Pay grade.
pay grade.
Yeah.
Because I can't advise him what to do, because I look in the contract, what can I use to help him, and there is nothing I could.
You have no
He-
ammunition.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like, nothing I could. So at that point, I keep telling him, "Did you talk to your lawyer? Did you talk to your lawyer?
Yeah.
No, I think you're not taking very seriously. Did you talk to your lawyer?
Yeah.
No." And then he finally talked to his lawyer after a week, and his lawyer was like, "There's nothing I can do.
Yeah.
There's nothing I can do for you." So at this point, 2 days before closing, my client called me and said, "All right, let them have the house. I don't want to be sued." But really think through, because, and sometimes it's not a question that somebody wants to be mean and stuff like that, but people put plans around it. You know what I mean? People have plans, like their life is.
It's a very necessity thing that they need, because they're planning around that. I mean, think about it. This is where somebody's living. This is a change of scenery, a change of life for them. They're depending on that. You know, it comes down to survival, a roof over their head,
Yeah.
right? So it's very important. Sometimes we don't put too much thought into it.
Yeah. But that's good. So hopefully you guys learn a little bit how you can get out of the contract. If you have any question, do not hesitate to call us. If you have any question, legal question, always talk to a lawyer before signing any type of document. We are not lawyers. We're just giving you helpful advice based on our personal experience and what we know. But thank you so much for watching. Send us your question. We want to hear from you. If you have lending question, he's the man for you. Real estate question, I'm you girl. So thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Make sure to comment, follow us in all our social media. Bye.
Bye-bye.